You're listening to Middle East expert and keynote speaker Neil Lazarus, live from Jerusalem.
Hi, this is Neil Lazarus, and welcome to another podcast. If you haven't been listening, check out our podcasts, our previous podcasts. They seem to be very, very popular. We're coming towards the end of a season of lectures here in Israel, and everyone was saying to me, why don't you podcast, Neil? Neil, we love your seminars. We want to invite you to speak locally, but meanwhile, give us something to listen to. So here they are. This is my podcasting. My name's Neil Lazarus. You can check out my website at awesomeseminars.com. And we're going to be looking at a number of different issues. Today, I want to look in this podcast. We're going to move from something slightly different. We're going to move away from that issue of dealing with some of the biggest questions that Israel has had to deal with, or people who talk about Israel have to deal with. If you're interested in that, check out the other episodes. We've already dealt with settlements, we've dealt with the issue of Israel and Zionism and colonialism, and we're putting more together as we speak. I just had to go on air briefly, and this is going to be a short podcast because I am running to Tel Aviv actually to give a presentation, but oh my gosh, is it me, or has the American elections gone 100% totally crazy? Perhaps the biggest political story is the Donald Trump story of the Second Amendment. First of all, let's listen to the soundbite, and then I'll give you my thoughts. Let's have a look.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But she said the other day she short-circuited. Hey, could you imagine if I said that I short-circuited? They would be calling for my execution. Electric chair. They'd bring back the electric chair.
Did you get it? Did you get it? Listen carefully. Oh my God. Trump just talked about the Second Amendment. By the way, for those of you not familiar with the Second Amendment, it's the right to bear arms. Don't go there. Don't go there. Let's not talk about that one. All right. But the right to bear arms is the Second Amendment. What did he say? He said if she gets judges, she can place the judges, which is what the president couldn't do. You can't stop her endangering the right to bear arms. And then he added that sentence, which was, maybe people who support the Second Amendment can.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way,
are you ready?
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But
what was that? Look, put it this way. Maybe it was just a bad joke. I'm happy to give that one. Did he say that people who bear arms could do something? That's seriously problematic. Just throwing it out there, adding my voice. Look, let's talk about Trump for a second. Some people love him, some people disagree with him. I'm not going to make a political statement. You can do whatever you like. I think there's something much deeper going on. Let's connect it, and obviously I want to make this a bigger picture. Look, you can talk about the headlines. What did they say? What didn't they say? His latest outrageous statement. There's a couple of things you've got to get about Donald Trump. One, Donald Trump is brilliant politically, savvy, pure savvy, amazing. Did anyone notice, by the way? I mean, look, ask yourself this. Did anyone notice, right? Do you remember that whole email thing where he said he called on the Russians to hack Hillary Clinton's email account? Remember that one? Well, hold on a second. If you heard it, you probably weren't listening to what was happening exactly at the same time. What was happening exactly at the same time was Obama giving his mother of speeches at the Democratic Convention. The news overwhelmingly covered the Trump allegation or call for the Russians to hack Hillary's claim. Now, in political campaigning, if you're involved in political campaigning, you may be familiar with the term. It's called slamming a dead cat on the table. Maybe it's a British one. I don't know if you say it in American English, but slamming a dead cat on the table means that if the opposition is about to do something else, but big, to distract it, like set fire to the office, put a dead cat on the table, or, just call on the Russians to hack Hillary Clinton's account. The brilliance of Trump, brilliance doesn't mean anything other than brilliant politically, is he managed to get world's attention yet again away from Obama. Is this really a campaign today of political sound bites so outrageous that they're intended, or is it the sign of someone who just keeps going off script? You tell me. I'm not sure. But I think actually what's even more interesting than the latest crazy thing said by Trump is the connection between Trump and Brexit, Britain leaving Europe. They're connected. Hang on, let me explain.
You're listening to Middle East expert and keynote speaker Neil Lazarus, live from Jerusalem.
So what's the connection between Donald Trump and Brexit? Let's go back. You have to ask yourself a simple question. Who voted to get Britain out of Europe? Yeah, they were old people, we know that. Yep, we know that they were generally less educated. Don't be offended, but statistically people with a degree said that they favoured Britain staying in Europe. Who else favoured Britain leaving? Xenophobic people, white people, kind of worried that people were going to steal their jobs if they immigrated. Hold on. Xenophobic, white, generally low income blue-collar workers, less Whoa. We're talking about Trump, or are we talking about Brexit supporters? I'm arguing they're actually the same thing. What actually happened in Britain was another form of what's happening in America. You see, Trump doesn't represent the Republicans in many ways. He's not Republican. His biggest enemies are within his own party. So what does he represent? I think Trump represents a resentment towards globalization. The fact that when you phone computer support in India, and you realize you're in India when your computer doesn't work and you're speaking to someone in India, that's globalization. Or an Israeli example, we love eBay. We always buy things from eBay, it's half the price. So, yeah, it is. It's like you buy something from China. A lot of people think that's really cool. Some people say that's not good. It's taking our jobs. Let's make America great again, or let's make Great Britain great, or let's do what's in Hebrew, Tov Yehudim, what's good for the Jews. It's the same argument. You see, what I'm arguing is that the world today is going to be divided between nationalists and internationalists. Those people who deal only with issues from a local basis, let's do what's good for us, and those people who say that the world's a small village, we have to work internationally to solve some of the problems, that there's not really that much difference between someone who's a Muslim migrating to Britain or a Mexican trying to get work in America, and me as an individual. We're all on one planet. That's how the next decade's going to be coming. In other words, Trump represents a backlash towards globalization, a resurgence of nationalism. It's not typically American. He's just doing it in an American way. Hollywood, let's just do it over the top. But he represents something which is much more widespread internationally and globally. The question perhaps is, with Trump, did they not, America, did you or did you not discover your Le Pen?
You're listening to Middle East expert and keynote speaker Neil Lazarus, live from Jerusalem.
Perhaps the other huge story this week, which, oh my God, is crazy if it's true, is the allegation by the Wall Street Journal. Great piece if you haven't read it. Making the allegation that the Obama administration paid a ransom of $400 million to the Iranians to get the hostages out, or hostages being held by Iran. Ooh, now, I don't buy the excuses. I don't. I think this was paid. Look, let me give you the soundbite from the White House press spokesman. Let's try and get this up.
We have not, we will not pay a ransom to secure the release of U.S. citizens. That's a fact. That is our policy and is one that we have assiduously followed.
Yeah, I don't believe you. Sorry, look, we've also got witnesses saying that the people who had been kidnapped and held hostage by the Iranians were on the tarmac until the plane landed, and yeah, they saw the cash being handed over. Look, the Iranians are saying it was ransom. The Obama administration says we should believe in the Iranians, because when they signed a deal with them on Iran, they said they weren't going to create a nuclear bomb. They don't want a nuclear bomb. Obama said we should believe in the Iranians. So hold on, the Iranians are now saying this was a ransom. Are you now saying we shouldn't believe in what they're saying? Oh, God, it's so confusing. You just have to love American politics.
Neil Lazarus. Educating, motivating, challenging.
If you've just kind of randomly picked up this podcast from perhaps my Facebook page or other places, I really do encourage you to join us and make this a regular date. First of all, I want to make this interactive. I want you to be speaking to me. Send me tweets at Awesome Seminars. I'll get them. I'll listen to you. If you've got ideas for programs, I want to hear them. Feedback as well, quality, sound. I'm learning this. People said to me, like I mentioned at the beginning, why don't you broadcast? So here I am. I'm podcasting and podcasting away. Also, we're going to have some phone-ins. We're working on that and how to do that. And I think that's going to be very cool as well. Perhaps the last story. By the way, if you do want to get this on your phone so you can download it and not just listen to it on your computer on Facebook or elsewhere, these are available. All these podcasts are available on iTunes. Apologies if that's where you downloaded them from originally. If you have an Android, small technical issue, you can get these, listen to these podcasts on Android, but you have to download my app. They're not available on the Google Play. Apologies for that. It's something they don't allow us to do in Israel, to podcast via Google Play. Is that BDS? I don't know. So if you do have an Android, you want to listen, just download the Neil Lazarus app, which is free from Google Play, and you can listen to the broadcasts via that. So here is my last big story for today, which I thought was quite unbelievable, was the introduction of legislation which would actually repeal progress that was made, which now it is possible, put it this way, it's now possible that if you get government funding in Israel from the Ministry of Education, you will no longer have to teach English and maths. Are you real? Oh my gosh. Because Torah is important. Look, don't misunderstand me. I think studying Torah is important for everybody. We should do it at whatever level. I think Jews should be studying more about their roots and more of their history. But on the other hand, let's just say it as it is. It is amazing that we have Haredi communities which are also working. Sometimes the women are working and the men are studying. That's cool by me. But you've got to be part of the workplace. But making this issue of let people choose, I'm sorry, I have a problem with that. I think we need to be able to, yes, have a basic line on education. Imposing maths and English, I don't think that's an educational demand. You tell me. I mean, you tell me, is that too much for any country to demand today? I'm happy to hear. Like I said, I'm very much in understanding. In other words, I hate this closed-mindedness of people, where people say, I'm not listening to you, I'm right, I'm wrong. I'm happy to have an email which says to me why there shouldn't be the subjects of maths and English taught in Israeli schools to everybody. If you can convince me, I will read that to you. Send me an MP3. I will play it on this broadcast. Record it, whatever you like. I'm happy to hear the other side. That's my challenge to you as well. You can send it via my website. You can tweet it to me. All those things I mentioned before. So, from Trump calling for the shooting of Hillary, or did he really? And the question of paying of a ransom. They did. They're denying it. And the teaching of maths and English. Those are my picks for the 3 most wackiest stories this week in the news. I look forward to meeting you in person. Remember to download my app. Check out my courses as well. Let's enjoy the courses which I have online as well. Until next time, this was a podcast. I'm now running to a seminar where I'm meeting people and we're going to be talking politics in Tel Aviv. Until next time, I'll speak to you. Bye.
You're listening to Middle East expert and keynote speaker Neil Lazarus, live from Jerusalem.